Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Translate. Welcome to part 3 of 4 of my Destiny Vault of Glass raid guide. This section is the Templar raid, part of the raid. This is the section, probably one of the longest sections I think, just because if you stuff up, you've got a lot to go back through, and yeah, it's quite simple to stuff up, so yeah. Sit in, maybe grab some popcorn and a drink, because this is going to take a while, because this is a very long section now. I've got a lot to get through. So, first of all, the Templar fight is split into 3 different parts. It's defending the confluxes, which are practically like these holographic towers, then killing oracles, and finally killing the Templar himself. Each of these parts has their own checkpoint, and confluxes are split into 3 ways. You should split into 3 pairs for the confluxes and oracles. It's called the left, center, and right. Center is located at the front where I'm showing footage right now at the stairs. Right is just to the right up on the platform there, and left is on the exact same level as the middle, just to the left. Now right side is probably the easiest. Center and left are pretty equal, but left can quickly be overrun during the final conflux wave. During these conflux waves, 4 types of enemies will spawn: goblins, which will sacrifice; hobgoblins, which also sacrifice themselves; and minotaurs, which will sacrifice; and fanatics. Now fanatics won't sacrifice, but they move quick and shoot really fast, and they will mark you for negation. And if you get too close or you step in the green pool they leave on the ground when killed, you will get this debuff. This debuff has no effect on you until the Templar uses the Ritual of Negation. You'll see this on the bottom of the screen. When you have this, all marked players will have to run into the Cleansing Light at the bottom of the stairs, which is in front of the mid section. If you're marked, you will die immediately if he does use Ritual of Negation, so you have to make sure you get to the Cleansing Light at the bottom of the stairs. And the problem is there's lots of fanatics there when you go there, so they'll regularly spawn in front of the cleansing pool, so players must be careful when going there. Otherwise you might get marked again whilst you're actually at the cleansing pool, and you can only use the cleansing pool a certain amount of times, so you might want to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, you have to be careful because the Templar will shoot at you the whole time during each section of the Templar fight. But you can't do any damage to them until the very last section. And during the first conflux wave, players must defend a central conflux, which is behind the stairs in the center. A pair should be located at the top of the stairs, 2 people shooting down in the center. Then you should have 2 people on the left and 2 people on the right to also just keep enemies away from there. If any 4 Vex enemies sacrifice themselves to a conflux, the whole team will wipe and restart at the first Templar checkpoint. The end of the first conflux wave will be marked by the chat feed, and it will say the Templar summons its legions, and that means it's ended. So you don't need to worry about defending the confluxes, you just have to stay alive. So you should try to get to some high ground. Axis Harpies and Fanatics will spawn. The Axis Harpies aren't actually too much to worry about because don't need that much damage, they're just harder to kill. It's just the Fanatics come in like such a large amount, you have to be really careful. Once this part of the wave is finished, when it says the Templar prepares the Ritual of Negation, that means that the end of the wave of that interim wave has finished, and all the adds will despawn, and then you'll move on to step 2. Now the second conflux wave is the same as the first, except with your 3 groups of 2, you only have to defend the left and the right confluxes, not the middle. There is no middle conflux anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, we have to be wary of the goblins on the left and the right, goblins and hobgoblins, because the hobgoblins will do a lot of damage from outside, and they'll take you out pretty quickly, especially if you're only like a 26 or 27. But mainly focus on the minotaurs, because they're the hardest to kill while they're actually sacrificing themselves. Especially on the right side, they usually teleport straight to the conflux, so you have to be careful for them, because you won't even notice that they're there. So that usually happens a lot on the left and the right. They just teleport straight there and you don't know they're there. As in with the middle, they actually have to kill you or get past you, so you'll usually notice them a little easier. The end of this wave, it will summon its legions again, and yet again, if you let 4 Vex sacrifice themselves, you'll wipe again and restart the beginning of the conflux defense waves, which means you'll be set at part 1 again. Now the third wave has 3 confluxes, the left, right, and center. So this, as usual, should be split into 3 teams of 2, being in the same spots: 2 in the middle, 2 on the left, and 2 on the right. One of the 2 strongest players should be placed on left side, with the other in the center, so it can prevent any goblins or hobgoblins from the swarming of the confluxes. as the right side's pretty easy to defend. This wave should end pretty quickly. There's just a lot of enemies that come through, but it's definitely a lot shorter. Again, wipe will happen if you all die, so make sure that doesn't happen, and make sure that you don't let 4 Vex sacrifice themselves. Otherwise, the whole he'll reset to the beginning again, which is an absolute pain. There's no checkpoints during the 3 complex waves, so you'll just be sent straight to the back. Now, the beginning of the Oracle part will grant the team a checkpoint, and all the team must do during this part is kill all the Oracles, green floating little orbs. They play a note, and usually you can typically tell where they are just by the note of noise they make. And they'll spawn other enemies around them. So the Oracles will spawn in 7 waves, increasing in number as the waves go on. There are 7 possible Oracle spawns, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, and 1 center. The location of Oracles can be identified by the notes they play as they spawn. However, it's easier to identify by how loud the note is as it's played in relation to your position. If you have a really good pair of headphones, you're actually able to tell where they are just by the noise that they make, because you'll be able to just tell like left, right, or center, or behind me, depending on where you're standing. The possible spawn points are actually shown at the beginning of the wave though, so if you don't know where they are, it's really easy just to run around, and when it makes the noises you'll be able to see them spawn anywhere. Goblins and Minotaurs will spawn indefinitely just in case during this fight, and they should be killed quickly, but however Oracles are the highest priority. Hobgoblins also spawn, but on floating sniper towers that surround the arena. Having a good sniper during this fight is very important, and Hobgoblins must be dealt with very quickly. They are second priority after the Oracles. An Icebreaker is ideal for this fight because the ammo is not a concern. It's very easy. If an Oracle is missed during any of the waves, the whole team will be marked for negation and must cleanse immediately, which doesn't sound too bad. Like, you could just say you don't need to get cleansed at all, but the issue is that you have to run to the center, and you can only do it a certain number of times, and it's not 7 waves, so you're not guaranteed. Sorry, I got a really bad throat. And if an Oracle is missed, you'll be marked. You have to cleanse in the center immediately. Because if he uses the ritual, the Templar, he'll kill all the players that are marked, so you don't want that to happen. You should call out where the Hobgoblins are, like, precisely, so front right or back right, or you could use far and back, or however you want to, but you should come up with a system of your own to be able to call out Hobgoblins as a team, because it'll make it a lot better. Same with Oracles. It's very good to call out all the spots for the Oracles as well. But you should really set that up with your team in the interim wave after you've completed the wave before this. Now, once all the 7 waves are complete, loot will be rewarded, and enemies will stop spawning, and the Templar will disappear, and a relic called the Aegis will spawn in the place of the cleansing pool. Another checkpoint is granted here for the final Templar fight, and the fight will not begin until one player picks up the relic. So during this part you can finalize a plan and really talk to each other how you want to get this done. During this part, the Templar will teleport around the arena while firing at players, and Harpies will spawn along with one Oracle periodically. The relic holder has the most important role during this fight, so they need to know how to use it. So this would preferably be the most experienced and the highest defense player. So if the relic holder dies at any point during this fight, the relic will be dropped and has to be picked up within 5 seconds, otherwise the team will wipe. Now the relic is used similarly to the sword of Crota, with a melee attack of right trigger or R2, a dash melee of RB or R1, a slam attack, jump, and RT or R2, and a cleansing protection bubble, which is LB or L1, and a ranged super shot, which is RB plus LB, which is just your super, or R1 and L1 if you're on PlayStation, which is just your super. Now, the only way to damage the Templar during this fight is if the relic holder uses their super on the Templar's shield, which will then remove it for a brief period of time, leaving him open for damage, and after it's taken down, the Templar will attempt to teleport to a designated area, and will regain his shield once he teleports. If a player enters his teleport, or will be blocked, leaving him unshielded for a longer period of time, but he will attempt to teleport again. If this happens, he'll start spawning Praetorians and Minotaurs, and this is when you start getting really overwhelmed. Avoiding the teleport zone saves the team trouble of fighting Minotaurs as well as Harpies. If the Oracles that do spawn periodically are missed, the whole team will be marked for negation, and must bunch up around the relic holder so they can hold down LB or L1, which gives you a cleansing bubble. This is the exact same as the cleansing fountain in the middle, but it's just a bubble, so you just have to make sure everyone's close. It blocks incoming fire, but you can still shoot out of it. but it cannot be held indefinitely as it must recharge. When the Templar's shield is taken down, 3 random players in the team will be trapped in a detention bubble, which stops outgoing fire and slows movement. Shooting at the bubble will break it, but using rockets and grenades while inside will most likely end in suicide, so don't even try it. If a player walks or falls out of the bubble, they will be debuffed with suppression field, which will kill them very quickly unless re-enter the detention field. If the Templar continues to if the Templar fight continues for over 6 minutes, roughly 6 minutes, the Templar will enrage, spawning 2 oracles instead of 1, and also summoning minotaurs alongside the harpies. Once the Templar is killed, loot will be rewarded once again, and your team can proceed through the doors at the back of the arena to the Gorgon's Labyrinth. Also, if you wanted to know any spots where you would like to set up for the final stage of the Templar fight, what me and my friends typically do is we send everybody but one person to the far right, including the relic holder, and then one person to the far left. Now, if you're wondering why we do this is because if you have one person on the left, there's not many enemies, and since all your friends are bunched up on the right, they're able to hold out together. But on the left, you're able to take out oracles. If you're doing this on a normal difficulty, the oracles actually, there's only one of them, so you'll be able to take them out solo by yourself, and it actually helps a lot more than having to be cleansed all the time, and you'll be able to kill the Templar a lot quicker because you're not worrying about having to cleanse before taking off the shields of the Templar to do damage to them. So that's the way we usually set it up. We set everybody up on the right, and they just camp in the where the conflux is, usually on the right side there. There's a little circle, and everyone just stands inside of there and runs around, and then one person is sent to the far left. And since it's only one person, it doesn't really matter if just one person dies. It's still easy to do, and if you need to, you can send the one person other than the relic holder over to revive that person once they need to be revived. But usually you can just run back. It's pretty easy and you'll stay alive, as long as you just avoid the fire and you just fly, because if you're not fly, if you use your double jump or your glide ability or your lift ability, the Templar won't be able to shoot the ground which is around you and do splash damage. He'll have to hit you directly. Yeah, so that will work a lot better. There's also a hidden chest. I'll place that in the footage with this video. It's just located to the left in front of the confluxes, and there's a little hole in the wall. It's just a single chest. It typically gives up Spirit Bloom and Glimmer. I've never got anything else from it. Might be very rare, but I've never got it. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this video though. I'll leave a link to part 1 and part 3. I'm sorry this took so long, but it is a very long raid. I hope it all made sense, and sorry for the lack of visuals. I tried making something in Microsoft Paint and it looked like absolute arse, so I'm definitely not going to put that on there. But yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, yet with every single other part like this raid, it's just a matter of doing things right. It's not so much they're hard, it's just you have to do it properly, and if you do not do it properly, then you just stuff up and it all slowly starts falling apart. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and comment and tell me what you think of it. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.